Bianca is a single mum of 4. She works long hours as a midwife to keep the roof over her family's head. But her life now is better than living with her ex-partner, because at the beginning of their relationship, things were good, almost perfect. In the end, it was a nightmare.
When you see this, what do you think? He's a policeman, a protector, trustworthy. But ask Tim Armstrong's ex-partner and she'll tell you at home this senior sergeant was evil and a master manipulator whose torment affects her to this day.
I remember at one point thinking, it just feels too perfect. But it was him pretending to be someone he wasn't. He was nothing more than a criminal in a police uniform.
Single mum Bianca had already left one abusive relationship, so when she met Tim Armstrong, the midwife tread carefully.
And one of the questions I even recall asking him was, how is a guy like you still single?
Tim had already been working for Victoria Police for 18 years.
I rationalised that he was a police officer and he had our best interest at heart.
So you felt safer because he was a police officer?
Yeah, I did.
And in reality, how did it turn out?
I've never known such evil.
After their profiles matched on a dating site, the pair started chatting, and the senior sergeant, who worked in the Transit Safety Division and the Ethical Standards Department, wanted to meet up.
We met at a cafe and, he seemed amazing. He had a good career, he was attractive, he seemed to have everything going for him.
What started as an equal relationship, she says spiralled into mental torture at the hands of a man she thought she loved and the father to her children.
He would go have outbursts of anger that would come out of nowhere, often over minor, silly things. My heart would drop when I'd hear his car pulling up in the driveway when he'd return from work. It's like, what's going to happen now?
Bianca now recognises a lot of Tim's behaviour as love bombing.
Just the cycles of really alternating between being really kind and helpful and normal, and then the rages.
I don't really like the term love bombing because it's anything but love.
Dr Brian Sullivan has 20 years' experience rehabilitating perpetrators and educating in the domestic violence space.
Outside to an observer, it might be very, very difficult to pick that up, whereas the victim will know exactly what that means in the context of that relationship.
There were no photos of bruises. He was never physical. And it was at a time where coercive control wasn't even a phrase. So I didn't know how to explain what he was doing. So I thought, I'll record what he's doing.
Bianca started recording their conversations, which for legal reasons we can't broadcast.
It's actually really validating when you go back in time and you go, oh my God, why did I live with that for so long?
Were you scared when you pressed record?
Yeah. I was mainly scared because he's a cop, right? He's an undercover detective at some times.
Yeah, hell yeah.
I was like, is he gonna check my phone? Is he gonna find it?
Tim and Bianca had 2 children together. When Bianca was nursing their 5-month-old baby, she made a disturbing discovery.
One night, late at night, I was breastfeeding my daughter and I knocked the keyboard and that shuffled the mouse and that lit up the screen. He created fake profiles of me on adult websites purporting to be me. Without my knowledge or consent, he posted explicit photos of me.
Did you confront him?
Yeah, I did. At that point in time, he actually said to me, it basically happened because I didn't tell him I loved him enough.
Things can change very quickly. Then the coercive control starts.
It was like being a frog in boiling water. And you don't realise what's happening until the heat's turned up so high that you go, how did I get here?
Did you feel even more hopeless because the person you were trying to protect yourself from was a policeman?
Yeah, absolutely. That was the reason it took me so long to escape.
It took more than 2 years for Bianca to get out of the relationship. Ultimately, Armstrong pleaded guilty to a charge of using a carriage service to offend, sentenced to a 12-month good behaviour bond with no conviction recorded.
The whole court system, as I have seen it, is about actually protecting and minimising consequences to perpetrators.
So was it the playing of these recordings that got someone to tell you this is family violence?
Yeah. I want other women to do this as part of their documentation and of what's going on for them.
What we need to change is the beliefs that drive that behaviour.
Stories similar to Bianca's have been shared on There's No Place Like Home, a podcast by Nine's Future Women where victim survivors share their stories.
They have the ability to really lift the lid on what's actually happening, what the experience looks like for people.
Tara Ray Moss is the host.
And then those who are at risk or those who know people who may be at risk can identify the situation and the risk a little bit more easily.
Despite escaping the relationship, Bianca says her life will never be the same.
Now I'm a busy single mum. So between just trying to survive, try to raise children who are respectful human beings, that's my life.
Tim quit the Victoria Police Force after facing court for his offending. And if you or someone you know is experiencing sexual abuse or family violence, there is help. Call 1-800-RESPECT. That's 1-800-737-732.